Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a collab that I heard many people have been waiting for. So we've got another American in the house, Meagan Newis. Oh, like St. Louis.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, right. You just explained to me that reference and I was like trying to process it really quickly. It's okay. People butcher my last name all the time.
I'm actually not quite sure. I've always said it's either Tyrone or Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone. Yeah.
Tyrone. See, I wasn't sure either. So.
Yeah. I don't have any like good word that rhymes with that though. That I can be like, yo, it's like Lyrone. You're like, it's like St. Louis.
Yeah, I always say it's like Lewis. Now I'm trying to think what rhymes with Tyrone.
Tyrone. No, but that's
that
the exact opposite
of
what we're trying to accomplish, because then they think the H
Same.
is... Yeah. All right. Well, anywho, we are two Americans living in Sweden. How long have you been in Sweden now, if you add up like all the time?
Like since the beginning? Yeah. Well, I've been in Sweden now for 2 years. Just over 2 years, and then I did live in Stockholm for 3 months at one point, and I visited a couple times. So like all together, 2.5 years maybe.
And now you're in Örebro?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So a couple hours west of Stockholm.
Yeah. Comparing Örebro and Stockholm, like,
sure,
that is a big difference, right? Because like my first year and a half, I lived in Norrköping. Beautiful city, nothing bad to say about it. But like being a big city person, I've found myself like enjoying the more faster paced lifestyle in Stockholm, but I haven't actually been to Örebro. Like, what is that like living there?
Okay, you've never been there.
No.
Like, it's beautiful. I hadn't been there either, but I moved there because I went to university. So I went there I had no idea what to expect. I'd just seen a few photos online, but I really like it. You know, I love Stockholm, and I knew I loved Stockholm, but I think I was open to trying a new city, and Örebro is really pretty. It has a castle right in the middle, and so it's just a very pretty city, and it's still big enough that you don't feel like it's too small. Like there's definitely enough to do there, and I've been there for 2 years, and I feel like I'm still kind of finding places to explore. So that's really nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think Swedish people have a completely different perspective about like city sizes and what's big and small. Because I remember like when I was in Norrköping, I met somebody from Skövde that was visiting for the weekend. And Skövde is like much smaller than Norrköping. So when they came to Norrköping, they're like, wow, this is such a big city. And I'm like, whoa, like Norrköping for me is tiny. And I always tell people I'm from the 28th largest city in the U.S., Portland. If you look at like ranked by population, Portland is roughly the same size as Stockholm. Like metro area, like the city center in Stockholm's a little bigger, but metro area, like the surrounding areas included, both Stockholm and Portland are exactly 2.3 million people. So Portland, being the 28th biggest city, is about the same size as Stockholm, I like to say. But if you look at the 28th biggest city in Sweden, it's like 20 or 30,000 people. It's like Borlänge. And you're in the top 30 biggest cities in Sweden with that few amount of people. So people have like a completely different perspective on like sizes. And you see that also in Stockholm, like people that come from smaller towns. So like Stockholm is super big, it's super like tons of energy. And then there's some people that are like really international. They're like, I go to London and New York, and Stockholm is like tiny. So it's all just a matter of perspective.
Definitely. It makes me wonder, because I'm from Minneapolis, and I don't know the exact size, but now I feel like it's probably similar to Portland, because I think with the whole metro area, I think it's 2-3 million. I think. Yeah. So I will say though. Living in Minneapolis, I'm used to dealing with big city traffic and everything, and of course you have to drive because it's the States. But we just drove here from Örebro, and my Sambo was driving the car, and on Google Maps, suddenly the road turned to a red line, and he didn't know what it meant. He literally was like, "Why is it red?" I'm like, "'Cause there's traffic."
We haven't seen that since 2008.
I don't get it. So I guess that's not a thing in Örebro. I didn't realize that.
Pros and cons. I saw this TikTok the other day, and it was this Norland person, and it was like how you feel like being from Norrland when you come to Stockholm, and it was some guy on the subway just like sitting in his own thoughts, and then like some dogs came like barking like crazy, and then there was like construction noises outside and all this, and he was just like sitting there like freaking out in his head. You could like visually see it, because like in much of Sweden it's like a very relaxed, calm lifestyle, and Stockholm is a lot of energy when compared to that.
Yeah, definitely. And just like the variety of people you see, and like, yeah, just there's just stuff always happening. But that's why I do like big cities. It's just always keeps it interesting, you know?
For sure. I had somebody explain to me once, they were like, Stockholm is the perfect size city because it's big enough that it has everything that you want, but not too big that you have to walk through a bunch of unnecessary stuff to get to the stuff you want. Like if you're in LA, you could be like, oh yeah, my friend lives in LA, but it's going to take me 2.5 hours to drive there, driving through a bunch of stuff that I don't care about. Whereas in Stockholm, I can see all of my friends in and around Stockholm, all the restaurants that I hear about, I can easily get to. It's very easy to get around. So I suppose in that way, I really like the size here.
Yeah. No, that is a good description of just like, yeah, when people say like, oh, I live in Chicago, it's like, oh no. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's very common that you're not gonna, public transportation is pretty much non-existent in the States. Yeah. So like driving or public transportation, it would take forever to get across town. Yeah. So sure. Yeah, no, Stockholm, and it's just beautiful. And it's like, it's just like a hidden gem, you know? It's like a lot of people don't think to visit Stockholm. If someone's going to visit Europe, I don't think their first thought is like going to Sweden, but that's why it's such a nice like treasure to find it and be like, this is beautiful.
We don't have as many like, I guess like touristy traps and sorts of things. Like I feel like when I go to other European cities that are like more touristy, like Rome or Barcelona, it's like people are trying to come up to me and like sell me trinkets and water and trying to like do super touristy stuff. Like people are standing outside of restaurants trying to like beckon you in. And I feel like in Sweden it's this very like like pushy, like really relaxed vibe. Maybe that's because there's less tourists here than other countries, but people just sort of like mind their own business here. And it kind of reminds me of like what we were talking about earlier. Like you can literally run into like celebrities in Sweden and nobody will like say anything. Like I was just telling you, like this time I was walking with a friend of mine and we walked by and she was going, do you know who that was? And I was like, who was it? She was like, that was Zara Larsson. I was like, no way, I gotta go say hi. I gotta go like make sure it was her, and I gotta tell her that I like her music. And she was like, no, we don't do that here. And I was like, but I'm never gonna know for sure if it was actually Zara. And that was amazing. Like I need to be like, Zara, you're amazing. All right, spread my love and be like, all right, back to my life. I don't want to bother you, but like you're awesome.
Yeah, I know, I love it. Like just I don't know. Oh, that reminds me of a time. Just to show how different even like celebrity culture is here. This was years ago and I was reading, I think I picked up like a Swedish magazine. It was like the equivalent of like People magazine in the States. And I remember they showed pictures of like, oh, the princess of Sweden and what outfit was she wearing today? And then it would say like, she wore a dress from H&M. You're like, oh, okay. Because normally if it's like Kate Middleton, she's going to be wearing some like $2,000 dress from wherever. Yeah. She's just wearing a dress from H&M, but it was still like a tabloid feature. It was so, and it was just really nice to be like, you know what? They're normal people, you guys.
Yeah, super interesting. And I love how people are just like so relaxed and like non-needy. And I think that sort of reflects in a lot of aspects in Swedish culture that make it very relaxing and enjoyable to live here. Yeah. But with that being said, I think we should jump to like the title of today's video and go in a little bit deeper of that. What is your absolute favorite thing about living in Sweden as an American living here? Oh. If you had to choose one, because
my gosh,
you've probably talked about a million things on your channel about like good, bad, ugly, all that. I think we've both covered all that sort of stuff. But is there like one thing that sticks out to you?
Oh my gosh, one thing. This is tough.
The weather.
I feel like, no, it's not that. Okay, we'll eliminate it one by one. It's not weather.
Okay. Not the darkness either, I guess.
No, okay, so two are checked off there.
Right.
Okay, well, it sounds like you have your answer ready.
Yeah, mine's sort of a little bit related to what I was just talking about.
Okay.
So if you want me to go first, I can.
Yes.
Yeah. I think like having like reflected on like Swedish culture and American culture, I would just say that the general like laid back nature of Swedish people is really, really refreshing to be around. And the longer that I'm here, the more I appreciate it. How respectful and considerate people are of those around them. Like in my 4 years of living in Sweden, like I can't really think of a single time that I've had a serious conflict with a Swedish person and not been able to like have a discussion and work it out with. I think like in general, people are like very, very reasonable, very, very receptive. They're generally open-minded. And I would say maybe one downside aspect of that could be that sometimes Swedish people could be coming off as maybe a little bit afraid of conflict, which can be an adjustment if you're coming from a place where people are much more likely to be open about voicing their opinion if something bothers them. So maybe there are some Swedes that don't like me and they're just like, we're not going to say anything because we're afraid of conflict. I don't know. They maybe that's the case, but just like in my experience, it's been very, very pleasant spending time with Swedish people. And I think that if you look at Sweden as a whole, I think the people in Sweden are very, very well taken care of. They have a very good like system in place. And I don't want to get all political, but like I'm not necessarily political on one side or the other. I just want to make that clear. But for everybody that's gonna go like, oh. But like being somebody that can always like try to see both sides, like there are a lot of values to being in a system where everybody is taken care of. And that's coming from somebody that also hates high taxes. So like take that for what it's worth. But like I think one of the extra benefits of that is just that like when everybody's taken care of, there is less of this like neediness and desperation from people. And like people, it's sort of like in America, people are like trying to make it.
Yeah.
You know? They're like trying to like hustle, they're trying to get to the top. They're like not as considerate about other people's feelings around them, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts on that whole like point that I
know.
elaborated trying to illustrate?
No, I feel like you explained it so well. And also now I'm like, dang it, that would probably be my answer. But I feel like I need to come up with another one here. Because, that's absolutely just... I mean, the more I'm also in Sweden, the more I'm like, I am meant to be here. This is like, I always say, like, these are my people. Like, and I can have, we can live very different like lives or have different opinions, but these still are like my people. And I think it's just, it is how, it just everything seems so much more at peace here. And I think that is coming directly in comparison from the States where everything is just so extreme. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just always maxed out. And it's like, it's exhausting, and in the end I feel like nobody's like satisfied and nobody's happy, and everyone's just I feel like that's why you always, when you just see videos and stories from the States of like what's happening, it's like everyone is so stressed out.
I can't relate to that anymore. Like being in like the political parties in Sweden, they have so much in common, whereas like in America you have two sides that are extremely different, like polar opposites going on, and like literally it divides friendships, divides families. And it's one person like has these beliefs and one person has these beliefs, so you can't be friends, because you can't look past that. Whereas I think in Sweden people are generally more communal in their way of thinking, viewing the world. There is more of a sense of community in that way, and there is less extremes. And being somebody that likes to live the log-on lifestyle, like it is a little bit more relaxing. I've always described it as like it's just more relaxed here, and one thing I was gonna say when you were saying that, like here, just when everyone's kind of taken care of, and like I agree, it's not like I want this to be a political video, but that is obviously something that always gets brought up when it's like, but Sweden is this and that, and when you compare it. But the thing is that like when everyone does kind of feel like taken care of in a sense of like education or healthcare,
that actually does create more freedom to just live your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's missing in the States is like so many people are just struggling for the basics of like paying for health insurance and trying to have enough money for like from 2 jobs and this and that and this, that like that's why everyone is so exhausted. And I don't think a lot of people realize they're exhausted from the system that they're in.
And people in Sweden, they're like, they have more of like a work-life balance. Like they're not afraid to like take a sick day if they're not feeling well, or they won't feel guilty for taking paternity leave to spend time with their kids.
They get paternity leave. Let's start with that.
They get more vacation. They get more balance in their lives, and there's more flexibility just in the Swedish workplace in general. And after you've experienced a workplace environment like that, it'd be really hard to go back to a more strict and crazy like US culture and mindset. And you can see it in the same exact way that Sweden handled like the coronavirus pandemic. Sweden trusted its citizens to make good decisions, and the government didn't really step in and say, this is what you have to do. I mean, the Swedish government said, these are our recommendations and you should follow them, but we're not going to dictate how you have to live your life. And I think I'm very proud about the way that Sweden handled that situation. This is another maybe hotbed political issue, but I think it just goes to show that Sweden has a lot of personal trust and confidence in their citizens, whereas most other countries in the world said you have to do a mandatory lockdown, you have to wear a mask, whatever it was, like, and they took the personal choice and freedoms away from those people. And America is saying that we're the land of the free, we're the land of the free. It's like, are we really though in the US? Because I felt like over the course of that like 2-year pandemic experience, like I felt very, very fortunate and lucky to be in the country where I was. And again, this is probably it's like a hot topic, which is unfortunate because it's also a very real topic that we've experienced firsthand in Sweden. And I think being in Sweden, I feel like, because I always feel like it's people from the outside being like, I can't believe how Sweden's handled the situation. And like, I guarantee you wish you were here. Like, it's just such a different life it's like it feels so normal, but everyone is still being cautious and like and it feels really special to know that like this is one of the only countries that was like, we're gonna leave this as open as possible. And it just shows like the trust from both directions. Citizens trust the government more than I think any country, and then vice versa. And I think that's something that everyone should be proud of if they're living in Sweden or if they are Swedish. And I made a video about this on studying why the Nordic countries are some of the happiest in the world. And it's not only Sweden, it's sort of a trend with Denmark, Finland.
I think they literally just like shake the dice. They're like, which country is it this year? It's like, all right, Denmark.
Exactly. But the biggest factors to the happiness of the citizens were like the trust of the institutions, the trust and faith in the government, that they could actually have these freedoms and just live their life and have faith in the people representing them. And it really makes sense. Like when you don't have to worry about all those other things, you can just focus on living your best life. So.
Even just like the whole thing with Stefan Löfven, am I saying that right? Stefan Löfven, being like kicked out of office is such an interesting, like, I don't know, like the fact that Sweden was just like, no, he had to go. Like, like, okay. Like, that was crazy. Like, that would never happen. And, like, it's so hard for a president to get impeached in the States. And even if they do, they don't. And you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then in Sweden, they're just like, no, he wasn't doing a good job. So he's gone. Like, okay.
He's like, all right, I didn't empty the dishwasher when Angela Merkel came. So it's like, I gotta,
but it just shows how much they're like, they take it seriously. And if you don't do a good job, you gotta go. Like, okay. So fascinating. I don't know.
All right, so before we wrap this video up, do you have any other like thoughts or like things that just like jump out at you? Like maybe not necessarily your one single favorite, but just like general things that you like really enjoy about living here.
Boy, I know. That's so hard because now I feel like, because we did such a big one that's kind of like all inclusive, and I think you and I are on the same page about that. So now I feel like it'd be fun to pick something that's so like tiny and specific.
Okay, sure.
Okay, but you need to think of one too.
Oh, okay.
Just like something so small that's like, all right, I don't know. But see, I made a video kind of like this, and I'm like, what's not on the list?
Tiny things that I like about Sweden. Some things that Swedish people absolutely love. like I don't necessarily see the point. And this is gonna be very like controversial.
Shoehorns.
Like well, no, shoehorns are great. Shoehorns are great. I take nothing against those. No. Like I haven't tied my shoes since elementary school. And
well, okay, hold on. You moved here like 4 years ago.
My family's German. We had shoehorns there in where I'm from as well. And we were one of those European families that made all the Americans take their shoes off. We're like, it rains in Portland. Take your dang shoes off. All right, so that wasn't a difference for me moving here. Anywho, my thing that doesn't necessarily live up to the hype in my book. I heard some Swedish people that moved to Spain in my Spanish class. They were complaining about that they don't have små knivar in Spain. And I was like, just use a regular butter knife.
Literally called a butter knife, you guys.
Yeah, but like the Swedish butter knives are like wider and flatter. But I think it's because their bread is so hard here. And I'm not a big proponent of eating knäckebröd. Like to me,
okay.
it's like kind of not the hype for me. It's like
also,
when I think of good food, I'm like, yeah,
not
the one
Swedish.
that like looks, the one that looks and feels and tastes like cardboard, and then we put butter on it. But no, we have to have this special knife to put butter on top of it, because if we took a normal regular metal knife that you could spread butter on almost anything with, it will crack the bread. So that is my pet peeve. Like if knäckebröd didn't exist, would we even need to have små knivar?
Små knivar.
The butter spreaders. Will we even need those? Like that is my. Okay, I went the other direction with
no,
that.
but I like it. Okay, good. We need more rants about mine shoehorns or the smoked kniva.
Okay, explain to me why shoehorns are bad.
Gladly.
We're gonna be another 30 minutes.
Here we go, you guys. No, my whole thing is that I don't need one, and I feel like even
what kind of shoes do you wear? Is like the Velcro straps? Like,
first of all, those are coming back in
do the
style.
wheelies pop out of the heel and you can go skating down the hill?
No, okay, because like I get that like dress shoes. I've made exceptions, like obviously dress shoes, or if you're elderly, sure, there's exceptions. But when it's like, here are my very loose pair of sneakers that you don't need a shoehorn for, they're still gonna be like, where's the shoehorn? And then, but here's my other thing. They're like, but it makes it so much easier because you don't have to bend down. Wrong. Every time they put their foot in and then they bend down to adjust the tongue of the shoe. So you bent down anyway.
No. This is coming from a perspective of somebody that has probably a lot more flexibility than me. Because this is where the debate starts. Because my pet peeve is shoehorns that are like 15 centimeters or less. Like if the shoehorn is this big, then it's a real pain to actually like get down and like put your shoes on. Like I only like long shoehorns. like they have to be more. Like if I have to bend down, this is gonna sound really bad, but like if I have to bend down to put my shoes on because the shoehorn is too small, it's not serving the purpose. Yeah. So in that way, I see what you're saying, but it's easier for me to grab the front of the shoe with the tongue than to like hop around on one foot and like try to put the back of the shoe on
with no shoehorn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I think having a short shoehorn is you're better off without a shoehorn.
Sure, but I'm talking all shoehorns. We're just and I'm just saying that I've lived a whole life and I've never needed one.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna start doing yoga, and then I can be just.
You don't. I feel like it's not a flexibility thing. You still need.
I will demonstrate. Maybe we'll do some B-roll.
Sure.
Stefan putting on his shoes.
Do you have a shoehorn?
I do. Yeah. So with that being said, guys, the two pet peeves that we had of Sweden was the shoehorns and the butter knives. So we want to hear what your pet peeves about Sweden are down below. We already talked about all this amazing things that we loved about Sweden, so we need to balance it out.
Yeah.
Let's hear about all the dirt down in the comment section. Go subscribe to Megan's channel. We might do a video over there as well.
Hopefully, if we have enough room on the memory card.
We will make it happen. We will. Yeah, I have Dropbox. We'll make it work. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in another one.